Have you ever felt the profound ache of being overlooked, as if your constant availability has rendered you invisible? Do you pour your energy into the world, only to feel it dissipate like mist, leaving you drained and unappreciated? If your soul resonates with this deep and silent truth, know that you are not alone. You have stumbled upon a sacred law of the universe, a divine principle that the world has forgotten but your spirit remembers. This is a sign. Your journey of transformation begins now. Acknowledge this awakening by liking this message, subscribe to walk this path with us, and declare your readiness by writing, "I move in silence," in the comments below. Let the universe hear your intention. It is a paradox woven into the very fabric of existence. In a world screaming for attention, true power is born from silence and strategic absence. The masses clamor for the spotlight, desperate for validation, their lives an open book broadcast for all to see. They believe visibility is strength, that to be constantly seen is to be significant. But this is a grand illusion, a trap for the unenlightened. The most powerful souls, the true architects of their destiny, understand a deeper wisdom. They do not compete in the noisy marketplace of the ego. They remain unseen, not from weakness, but from a profound understanding of spiritual dynamics. They are not absent, they are calculating. They are conserving their divine energy for moments that matter. As the great strategist Machiavelli perceived centuries ago, a ruler's power is not in explaining his every move, but in ensuring his presence commands respect when it is finally revealed. In the spiritual realm, this translates to a profound truth. Your energy, your essence, is a sacred currency. The more you spend it, the less it is worth. In a world drowning in the mundane, your invisibility is not a curse, it is a divine advantage. The masses, in their frantic scramble for attention, for validation, for a fleeting moment of exposure, reveal their entire hand. They become common, familiar, and predictable. And that which is familiar, that which is common, can never truly be respected or feared. It loses its mystique. The truly powerful, however, move in the sacred stillness of silence. They are not absent because they are weak. They are absent because they are orchestrating. They understand that every appearance must be an event, every word a decree. Every time they emerge from the shadows, their presence must shift the very frequency of the room. It must matter. In a culture obsessed with the performance of presence, they master the art of absence. They become rare. And you must understand this universal law. Rarity is the ultimate source of power. Rarity creates value. Consider the man who is a constant fixture in every social gathering, whose voice is heard in every debate, whose opinions are freely given on every topic. At first, he is noticed, but soon he becomes familiar. The magic of his presence fades. The familiar then becomes common, a predictable part of the scenery. His words, once listened to, become background noise. And that which is common is never held in reverence. It is never feared. It is taken for granted. This is the spiritual death that comes from overexposure. Now, contrast this with the man who appears rarely. His absence creates a void, a space filled with curiosity and speculation. His silence is not empty. It is pregnant with possibility. When he finally does enter the room, a hush falls. When he speaks, the world listens. Why? Because his presence is an event. His words are a commodity. He has mastered the divine economy of attention. You must grasp this truth deep within your soul. Power thrives in distance. Familiarity is the silent poison that erodes respect. When people see too much of you, they stop truly seeing you at all. They see a caricature, a predictable pattern, not the infinite, divine being you are. Familiarity breeds comfort, and in that comfort, respect withers and dies. When people feel they have constant access to you, they stop listening. They assume they know you. When you are always available, your presence becomes an expectation, not a gift. And what is expected is never truly valued. What is expected is never respected. This is not a social tactic. This is a law of energetic exchange. Your constant output, without a period of sacred withdrawal, depletes your spiritual reserves and diminishes your auric field. Machiavelli understood this ancient truth long before the cacophony of social media amplified this dynamic to a deafening roar. He knew that the ruler, the leader, the one who wields true influence, must cultivate an aura of mystery. He must be a wellspring of power, revealing only what is necessary, withholding more than he reveals. He understood that the moment you become ordinary in the eyes of others, the moment they believe they have you figured out, they begin to treat you as such. Your divine potential is reduced to a mundane commodity. They will take liberties. They will talk over you. They will devalue your time and your energy because you have taught them that it is abundant and cheap. Your power is not in being an open book. It is in being a sacred text that is revealed page by page, only to the worthy, only at the chosen time. Look at the modern man, a prisoner of his own transparency. He documents everything, every meal, every fleeting thought, every minor achievement, every perceived slight. He broadcasts his every move, every emotion, to the world, mistaking this digital noise for connection. He believes this transparency will build bridges, that it will make him loved and understood. But it does not. It only brings dilution. The more he shares, the less substance he holds within. The more he reveals, the less he is respected. His life becomes a performance for an audience that is perpetually scrolling, perpetually distracted. And so, in his desperate attempt to be seen, he becomes both loud and ignored, ever present and utterly irrelevant. His energy is scattered to the winds, his power given away for fleeting digital validation. Meanwhile, the man who cultivates strategic absence, the man who appears rarely but with intention and weight, becomes unforgettable. His presence is a thunderclap in the silence. His words are etched into the memory. This is the divine paradox of presence. In the grand theater of life, those who shout the loudest are often heard the least. Their noise is a sign of emptiness, a desperate plea to fill a void. But those who speak rarely, whose words emerge from a place of deep inner stillness, are listened to with rapt attention. Why? Because their absence has built tension. Their silence has cultivated curiosity. Their every word is imbued with the power of all the words they chose not to speak. When they enter a room, people feel it in their very bones. When they speak, people stop what they are doing. That presence, a force earned through scarcity, is what makes them truly powerful. It's not just what they say, it is the profound fact that they chose, at that precise moment, to say it at all. So, you must learn to vanish with intent. This is not about hiding or retreating in fear. It is about a sacred withdrawal to build your inner temple. Do not show up to every gathering. Do not speak just to fill the silence. Do not waste your divine essence on rooms where your value is not recognized. Every appearance you make must be a calculated move, a strategic deployment of your energy. Every word you utter must land with the force of a perfectly aimed arrow. The man who is always talking has exhausted his reserves. He has nothing left to say when it truly matters. But the man who speaks strategically, who chooses his moments with divine precision, never runs out of impact. You do not need to be seen constantly. You need to be remembered. Machiavelli famously wrote that it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Let us transmute this for the spiritual warrior. Fear, in this context, is not about terror, but about a profound and reverent respect for your power and your boundaries. And this fear is not always created through overt action. Often, it is created through absence, through mystery, through the power of the unknown. People fear what they cannot predict, what they cannot control. And nothing is harder to predict than the man who is master of his own presence, who chooses when and if he appears. He is not a pawn in their game. He is the player who sees the entire board. Therefore, begin the sacred practice of disappearing. Withdraw your energy from conversations that do not serve your higher purpose, from rooms where your frequency is not honored, from performances designed to entertain those who would not stand for you in a storm. Leave the stage. Let the noise of the world eat itself. While others compete to be seen, you will rise by being felt. Felt through impact, not volume. felt through silence, not noise. Felt through rarity, not repetition. Become rare, and your very essence will become unforgettable. Your absence will speak louder than their constant chatter. Rarity is a weapon in a culture of overexposure. It is the man who withholds that commands attention. Everyone else floods the room. They speak too much, post too often, explain endlessly. Their presence is constant, and because of that, it is disposable. It is background noise in the symphony of life. But the powerful man is different. He does not flood. He drips, slowly, deliberately. He lets his absence speak for him. And when he finally appears, the contrast alone is breathtaking. It makes people stop. That is not coincidence. That is divine strategy. You must understand this dynamic. When you are always accessible, people subconsciously devalue you. They know they can reach you anytime, so they delay their replies. They take liberties with your time. They talk over you in conversations. They no longer see you as a priority. But when you become rare, when your voice, your time, your attention must be earned, the entire dynamic flips. They change. They come correct. They speak less. They listen more. Why? Because now you are in control. You have become the one who dictates the terms of engagement, not by force, but by the strategic withdrawal of your own divine energy. Machiavelli warned that rulers must not be too familiar with the people, not because they should be cold and distant, but because he understood this timeless principle. Closeness erodes respect. The more they see you laugh, explain, compromise, and be just like them, the more they forget you are the authority. The more you are seen, the more they think they know you. And once they believe they know you, they no longer fear you. They no longer hold you in reverence. You become something they can predict, something they can manage, something they can control. And the moment you are controllable, you have surrendered your true power. This is precisely why the truly powerful cultivate mystique. They are the eye of the storm, still and silent, while chaos rages around them. They don't react to every comment. They don't respond to every challenge. They don't show up to prove themselves. They already know who they are. Their sense of self is not derived from external validation, and that unshakable inner knowing makes others uncomfortable. Because when someone doesn't need the spotlight, it's often because they already own the stage. Their power is internal and therefore untouchable. You must learn this art. Disappear not because you are weak, but because you are building tension. Remain silent not because you are hiding, but because you are deciding. You don't rush into rooms. You enter when the moment holds weight. You don't speak to fill gaps in conversation. You speak when the silence needs a blade. The man who controls when he appears controls the meaning of his appearance. This is true in every arena of life: business, relationships, leadership. It is the rare man, the one who understands the power of the void he creates, who dominates. Not by force, not by volume, but by understanding that value is built in the shadows, then revealed briefly, brilliantly, in the light. The king does not walk through the marketplace every day, mingling with the common folk. He is seen at decisive moments, on occasions of great importance. He does not beg to be heard. His silence commands inquiry. His absence builds anticipation. His presence, when it finally comes, ends debate. It is an event. You must operate in the same manner. Stop explaining your silence. Let them wonder where you've been. Let them ask why you didn't speak. Let them feel the gap you left behind. Your absence is the stage. Your return is the performance. But this only works if you've built something worthy in the shadows. Do not waste your invisibility on comfort and idleness. Use it to grow. Use it to study. Use it to plan. Use it to rise. The world will not forget the man who made himself rare for a reason. So be rare, be calculated. And when you do speak, let your words shake the very ground beneath their feet. The man who becomes rare transforms how the world reacts to him. They no longer expect him to perform, to please, to explain. Instead, they adjust. They tread carefully. They measure their words before speaking. They come to him with more respect, not because he demanded it, but because he withdrew everything they once took for granted. This is the hidden law of power. Scarcity breeds significance. And the man who learns to control his presence controls the room, even in his absence. Weakness wants to be seen. It needs to be acknowledged. But strength is indifferent to the gaze of others. The powerful do not need constant exposure because their identity is not tied to being noticed. It is tied to being remembered. The rare man doesn't chase relevance. He defines it. He doesn't flood the feed. He interrupts it. One word from him carries more weight than 1,000 from the man who never stops talking. To get here, you must kill the impulse to be everywhere. The need to respond to everything. The temptation to constantly justify yourself. The men who are played the most are those who feel obligated to stay visible. They believe disappearing means losing relevance. But the opposite is true. Power is secured by those who understand timing, discretion, and mystique. The prince who reveals himself too much invites weakness. The prince who controls his visibility protects his crown. This is how you must operate. Appear when it changes things. Speak when it bends the room. Act when it cannot be ignored. For everything else, retreat into your sacred silence. Let others waste themselves in the spotlight. Let them burn out, chasing fleeting attention. You will rise in the shadows. You will grow while they deplete. And when they are exhausted from being seen, you will emerge, undeniable. There is a kind of power, a kind of fear that comes from uncertainty, not knowing when a man will speak, not knowing when he will strike, not knowing what he is building while the world sleeps. This fear is the most potent currency you will ever hold, and it is earned not through aggression, but through discipline, through vanishing when noise demands you show up, through refusing to explain when the crowd demands answers, through choosing silence not because you have nothing to say, but because what you say must matter. People will criticize you for this. They will call you distant, detached, difficult. Let them. Their discomfort is proof of your growing strength. The man who is always available is easy to use and easy to forget. The man who is hard to reach forces others to rise to his level. When you no longer beg for access, others must stretch to reach you. And you will notice, only the worthy will try. The manipulators, the needy, the weak, they will fall away, because you have made yourself a treasure too expensive to exploit. That is the quiet elegance of becoming rare. It is not isolation, it is divine filtration. You are not cutting people off. You are cutting access to those who haven't earned it. The more you do this, the higher your value rises. This is not theory, this is war. And in this war, noise is weakness, silence is control, distance is armor, presence is a weapon. Use them all, like a master strategist. Your aim is not to be seen more, but to be needed less. Not to be liked more, but to be respected without question. When you fully embrace rarity, you no longer move like the rest. You don't announce your plans. You don't explain your decisions. You don't show up because it's expected. You show up when it matters. And because of this, your presence begins to carry a weight that others can't replicate. While they chase attention, you own it. While they broadcast constantly, you interrupt strategically. This is what separates the powerful from the desperate, the rare from the forgotten. People begin to notice your silence. They begin to notice your absence. And in that absence, they fill in the blanks. They wonder where you are, what you're thinking, what you're planning. You become a subject of speculation. You become myth. And myths are always more powerful than the men who overshare. This is the beauty of restraint. It doesn't just preserve your mystery, it multiplies it. The less they know, the more they imagine. The more they imagine, the more power you hold. Machiavelli understood this at his core. He knew that when a leader is predictable, he becomes weak. When he is accessible, he becomes common. But when he is calculated, when he appears rarely, when he acts with intent, his authority grows beyond measure. That is not distance for ego's sake. It is distance as a weapon, a strategic retreat from the world, so that when you return, your impact is absolute. The weak show up daily to prove they exist. The strong vanish and return when it matters, and the world adjusts. Your goal is not to be constantly remembered. Your goal is to make your presence impossible to ignore when it appears. Think about that. People forget what's always in front of them, but they never forget the moment something rare and powerful entered their space and shifted the entire dynamic. That's what your presence must become. A shift, an event, a memory. This is how powerful people become myths. The less you are seen, the more they imagine. And what they imagine will often be far greater than what you could have ever shown them. That is the profound beauty of strategic absence. It doesn't just preserve your strength, it amplifies it. People do not fear what they understand. They fear what they cannot fully grasp. The man who is always speaking gives away his mind. The man who speaks selectively makes his mind untouchable. But make no mistake, rarity must be earned. You cannot simply vanish and expect to be remembered. You must build something in your silence, develop skill, gain insight, cultivate clarity. Your reappearance must come with weight. You must disappear to sharpen the blade, so that when you return, the cut is clean and decisive. The strong man disappears and returns transformed. That transformation is what demands respect. So stop explaining your silence. Let them wonder. Let them wait. Your absence is the stage. Your return, the performance. This is the final form of self-respect. It is not loud. It is not theatrical. It is quiet, selective, and disciplined. And it is felt by everyone around you, even in your absence. That is true power. So now, ask yourself, are you willing to stop showing up just to be seen? Are you ready to start appearing only when it shifts the room? Are you ready to become rare? If you are, prove it now. Your transformation is just getting started.